On April 18, 2025, the world watched in horror as U.S. airstrikes rained down on Yemen's Ras Issa fuel terminal. This attack marked a deadly escalation in the ongoing conflict, claiming the lives of innocent civilians and pushing the region further into chaos. The Ras Issa terminal, a critical source of fuel for Yemen, became a scene of devastation and despair. The U.S. claimed the strikes were aimed at disrupting the Houthis, a powerful group controlling much of Yemen. However, the attack raised serious questions about the legality and morality of U.S. involvement in the region. The aftermath of the attack painted a grim picture. The Houthi Health Ministry confirmed a staggering death toll, with at least 74 people killed and over 170 wounded. These figures represent one of the deadliest single incidents in the years-long conflict, underscoring the devastating human cost of the U.S. intervention. The strikes drew immediate condemnation from across the globe, with many questioning the U.S.'s justification for the attack and its commitment to protecting civilian lives. The attack on Ras Issa represents a dangerous escalation of the U.S. campaign against the Houthis in Yemen. This campaign, intensified under the Trump administration, has seen a dramatic increase in airstrikes and military operations. The U.S. argues that these actions are necessary to counter the Houthi threat and protect U.S. interests in the region. However, critics argue that the U.S. is fueling the conflict, exacerbating the humanitarian crisis, and undermining any prospects for a peaceful resolution. The Ras Issa attack is not an isolated incident, but rather a chilling reminder of the ongoing violence plaguing Yemen. It underscores the urgent need for a diplomatic solution to the conflict, one that prioritizes the lives and well-being of the Yemeni people. Until such a solution is found, the cycle of violence and suffering will continue, leaving an indelible mark on the region and its people. The human cost of the Ras Issa attack was immediately apparent, with the Houthi Health Ministry reporting a death toll that shocked the world. 74 lives were lost, including men, women and children, their futures tragically cut short by the bombs that rained down upon the fuel terminal. The injured, numbering over 170, faced a long and uncertain road to recovery, many bearing the physical and emotional scars of the attack. The international community reacted with a mixture of outrage and despair. Iran, a longtime supporter of the Houthis, condemned the strikes as a blatant act of aggression. Hamas, the Palestinian militant group, echoed these sentiments, labeling the attack a war crime. The strikes also sparked protests across Yemen, with people taking to the streets to denounce the U.S. actions and demand an end to the violence. Beyond the immediate casualties, the attack on Ras Issa had far-reaching consequences. The destruction of the fuel terminal exacerbated the already dire humanitarian crisis in Yemen, a country on the brink of famine. The loss of this vital infrastructure disrupted fuel supplies, impacting transportation, healthcare, and other essential services. The attack deepened the suffering of the Yemeni people, pushing them further into despair and desperation. The international outcry following the Ras Issa attack highlighted the growing unease over the U.S.'s role in the Yemen conflict. Many accused the U.S. of acting with impunity, prioritizing its own geopolitical interests over the lives of innocent civilians. The strikes raised serious questions about the legality and morality of U.S. foreign policy, further tarnishing the country's image on the world stage. The U.S. justified the attack on Ras Issa as a necessary measure to disrupt the Houthis and their alleged attacks on maritime shipping. The Ras Issa terminal, a key source of fuel and revenue for the Houthis, became a target in the U.S.'s broader campaign to weaken the group's grip on Yemen. The U.S. claimed that the Houthis, with alleged support from Iran, posed a threat to regional stability and international shipping lanes. The U.S. pointed to a series of Houthi attacks on merchant vessels in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden as justification for their actions. They claimed that these attacks, which the Houthis framed as acts of solidarity with the Palestinians, threatened global trade and security. The U.S. argued that the Ras Issa strike was a necessary step to deter further Houthi aggression and protect international interests. However, critics argue that the U.S.'s actions were counterproductive, only serving to escalate tensions and deepen the conflict. They pointed out that the Houthis' attacks on shipping were a direct response to the U.S.-backed Saudi blockade of Yemen, which has had devastating humanitarian consequences. The critics argued that the U.S., instead of addressing the root causes of the conflict, was choosing to double down on military solutions, further fueling the cycle of violence. The Ras Issa attack also raised concerns about the US's commitment to international law. Legal experts argued that the strikes, carried out without a declaration of war from Congress, were unconstitutional and violated the UN Charter. They argued that the US's actions set a dangerous precedent, undermining the international rules-based order and putting civilian lives at risk. The U.S. airstrikes on the Ras Issa fuel terminal in April 2025 were not isolated events but rather the culmination of years of escalating conflict and foreign intervention in Yemen. To understand the gravity of this attack and its implications, it is crucial to examine the sequence of events that led to this point. The roots of the current conflict can be traced back to 2014, when the Houthis, a Shia Muslim group, seized control of Sana'a, Yemen's capital. This power grab sparked a civil war, with the Houthis pitted against the internationally recognized government, which received military support from a Saudi-led coalition. The U.S., under the Obama administration, initially provided logistical and intelligence support to the Saudi coalition. However, U.S. involvement in the conflict escalated significantly under the Trump administration. In 2018, the U.S. began conducting airstrikes against alleged al-Qaeda targets in Yemen. These strikes intensified in 2024 under the Biden administration and further escalated under Trump's return to office. The U.S. justified its military intervention as part of its global war on terror and a necessary step to counter Iranian influence in the region. The U.S. airstrikes on Ras Issa in April 2025 represent a dangerous turning point in the Yemen conflict. The attack, which resulted in significant civilian casualties, drew widespread international condemnation and raised serious questions about the legality and morality of U.S. foreign policy. The strikes also highlighted the complex geopolitical dynamics at play in the region, with the U.S., Iran, Saudi Arabia, and other actors vying for influence. The conflict in Yemen has had devastating consequences for the country and its people. Millions have been displaced from their homes, and the country faces the worst humanitarian crisis in the world. The U.S.'s continued military intervention risks exacerbating the suffering of the Yemeni people and further destabilizing the region. A peaceful resolution to the conflict is urgently needed, one that prioritizes the needs of the Yemeni people and addresses the root causes of the conflict.